Still, sisters.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Diabolical Souls Presents. First, I want to say a thank you to everyone that subscribed to this channel. I greatly appreciate all of you. Over 3K, I never thought I would ever even come close to that, so I appreciate every one of you. If you are watching the show and you like what you're seeing, please check out the stuff we've done in the past, all the older videos, a lot of great content there. Hit that like button, leave a comment, and tell a friend about Diabolical Souls Presents and subscribe. Tonight we're doing episode 7, The Boy Savior. This is a pretty good episode. I enjoy this one, and I always have my friends on with me, so let's bring him on. The man himself, Amatranos. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Jay?
I'm good.
Glad to be back, and congratulations, man! 3,000 subscribers.
I appreciate it.
Need to put a couple more zeros behind that, but
yeah. Well,
glad
everyone else has to come with me. Everyone has to come with me. So.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the gloat.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you're back. I love doing these things with you, brother. And we're not alone, so we'll get the man himself, Zachary's Art, on. What's going on, bro?
What's up? I'm pretty stoked for today. This is a good episode, man. I can't wait to talk about it.
Nice.
Yeah, this episode's actually great. I kind of forgot how good it was.
I got
a
couple tools ready.
There's a couple plot holes, but
yeah, I mean, but and then we can't do this without the man himself, the man from across the pond, and you know who he is, Little Platoon. What's going on, Little Platoon?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a lot better than I was last week, put it that way. That was a rough week.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah, how are you feeling?
Oh yeah, mostly better. I also enjoyed this episode, but I was also scripting what is probably going to be a ridiculously long Dune review at the same time. So how much attention? It's a sign of a good episode, though, is that it pulled my attention away from the review. So that's a good thing.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you again for joining us. I always appreciate you coming on. And lastly, we have Zach's buddy. I think he's still backstage. He's going to be a few more minutes, so we'll just wait a couple more minutes and we'll bring him on. I want to quickly say hello to everyone in the chat. Halder6480, he's been a YouTube member. Thank you so much for joining in, bro. I appreciate that. We got Jama Lama, yeah boy, thanks for joining us. Cannoli's in the house. I'm here for the Gooch. Thanks, Cannoli. And please go check out Cannoli's channel. He's got some great stuff there as well. He's got the MMM show on Monday nights. It's fantastic. And he's also got the Cannoli Connection on Friday nights. So go check him out, please. We got Amateurs. It's in the chat with everyone. Also, Watami, what's going on? Hey, what's going on, brother? Thanks for joining us. And then we'll probably get a bunch of people streaming in as we get going here, just because this is how my channel usually goes. It gets busy during the middle of my streams. So episode 7, if you guys are ready to get into this, we can get crack-a-lacking and start talking about it. The Boy Savior. General thoughts before I bring it up?
Yeah, definitely. Like every time I rewatch one of these episodes, it's always better than I remember it being. And I think this one is the best example so far, because I kind of forgot about a lot of the things that happen in this. It sort of becomes a blur. It's been 2 years since I really delved into this show.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a couple plot holes, but there's some really, really good moments in it. There's the whole bridge fight thing with Ekko and Jinx, and then there's, the memorial and the whole political thing, sort of ratcheting up the tension, the wedge being driven between a bunch of characters. It's very interesting. A couple minor plot holes. I guess they're more contrivances or plot conveniences more than anything. But yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed it. Very captivating. Much better use of pacing than I think the last episode, which I think it's fair to say is a bit choppy in places. But yeah, overall pretty good.
Anyone else want to say anything before we get into this, or we're good?
I was just glad my boy Ekko got his time to shine for a second in that. I was like, let's go. And yeah, dude, I gotta say, the bridge fight in this episode was probably my favorite. It definitely had me on the edge of my seat, especially with that reveal with the bugs. I was like, oh man, super sick.
Yeah, that scene on the bridge is probably like, I would say, the second strongest sequence in the whole show. It's really good.
So we start off. Oh, why is this glitching on me? Start off with the rap music, the graffiti. It's the firelights.
Yeah, see, like, it's a fairly good episode because it has to overcome this.
Yes.
I fucking absolutely hate rap. Like, everything about it. I just know. And I'd actually forgotten. I think I'd blanked it from my mind when I put this back on earlier. And I thought, oh God, I don't remember this. But luckily, the rest of the episode's really good, so you can kind of forgive it.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the direction they're trying to go with it. It is visually interesting, but I got to go with Platoon on this. I rather dislike rap and basically I find, okay, mind you, I find some of it very impressive, but it's not my cup of tea. But yeah,
it's kind of lame. I'm not gonna. It is. I hate it as well. Hi Sherry, thanks for joining us. A lot of people coming in now. Tomby, thanks for coming in. Hail Gooch, ladies chat, and the mods. Thanks for joining us, Tomby. So yeah, this intro, I don't care for it. It's cheesy.
If you mute it, it's better, because you're right. I mean, I think the episode as a whole is probably one of the most visually startling, I think, of all of them, really. So certainly, well, or at least maybe it's startling in a different way. I mean, the visuals are there seems to be much more variety. I'm not an expert in this by any means, but there seems to be more variety of art style in this episode. So yeah,
yes.
If you mute the fact that the rap is going on in the background, you can kind of admire what they do on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like they're trying to get too modern with it. It's just really, really cheesy.
I would have liked to have seen a bit more of like Ekko's struggles up to this point, or maybe a bit more information about him.
Yes.
It seems kind of like a missed opportunity, because like with that whole scene on the bridge, which we'll get to, it would be a lot more impactful if like we were given a moment from their childhood with interactions between Ekko and Powder. I think that would have been really, really good. You do. I mean,
they do the callback, don't they? They do the callback with the watch, which is pretty much what you get. But I mean, I'd probably be with you in that I think that there's a kind of a huge middle act to Ekko's story, which we haven't got.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think it compensates for that pretty well. I think it compensates for it better than they do with Caitlyn when they introduce her late. But it's still, it's probably a sign again of a really good show that you can see how good the story there might have been, and it's a shame that we didn't get an episode on it.
Yeah, you do get a bit of, it's implied again. There's no narrative sort of like bones to it, but you get like a little moment with them in the enemy music video, which I definitely watch on mute. But there's some really great footage in there, and it shows them like being children together and like having fun, and it's kind of touching. And they should have put that in this intro instead of this little music sequence, which is, it's like it could be better. Like if you think of the fact that like they got Ray Chen and Sting and all these amazing artists doing all this phenomenal music, not to mention the score, and then you slap this onto it, it feels cheap in comparison.
Yeah,
but
it does.
If they're just going for diversity of like different music styles, then I can tolerate it. But
so let me ask you something. Because the show is getting another season, as you know, which these people who made it, due to how the last episode ended, you could tell that they were definitely going for another season. By adding another episode in the second season that really delves more into Ekko a little bit more, would that make up for what they were using him in the first season, or it doesn't matter because it's what people have seen the first season as a whole, and that's their impressions for these characters?
I think I wouldn't mind so much if they didn't go back to it in season 2, because strictly speaking, it's not necessary, given that we were able to get the point in this episode, and we understand the characters' relationships. It's more a case of it's something that would have been really nice to have, but it's not essential to have it. And given that season 2 is probably going to have a relatively limited run like this one did, There are more important things to show, and I'd rather not sacrifice those on flashbacks and things like that. So I don't mind. I think they might maybe miss their chance to do it, but it's not too bad.
I agree.
Sure.
I agree with that. I'm just curious, Platoon, because you mentioned, I think it was the last episode where you felt like it was the pacing was kind of off, or was just too many side stories. I'm kind of curious what your thoughts on this episode, because there was a lot of side stories in this one as well.
I don't know. Maybe it was the pacing, as Amateur Analyst said. I think one of the things that made me come out of this Dune review and really focus on this episode was that the episode itself seemed a lot more focused. I think it didn't jump around as rapidly, and I think each of the things they were focusing on had much more depth to it. Plus, it was picking up on more consistent storylines that have been going throughout sort of this half of the season anyway. So it felt more in place, and it was easier to follow along even if you're only half paying attention. Once you're half paying attention, then it lures you in and you pay full attention. I just felt, whereas the previous episode I think jumped around more than this and covered more places and took a shallower dip into all of the various plot threads that it was mentioning, this one has relatively fewer and deeper.
That's fair.
For sure.
Zax has joined us. Welcome, Zax. How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. I think we have a rule now, or a goal with this stream every week, where we want to push one musical act to self-delete every week. Every week.
Yes.
That's our goal.
Well, getting back to this, we start off after the nice little rap in the beginning there. We get to, and I'm being facetious, we get to where we left off in episode 6, where Vi and Caitlyn were captured by the firelights. I said it right this time. Yes, it was a mess last week. I acknowledge that. So the firelights, they kidnapped them and they're handcuffed to these pipes here. Vi and Caitlyn are kind of, talking back and forth, and Vi's just like saying, like, you've been a real, picnic yourself. So they're kind of bickering with each other, and then you see that they got the sack over their heads, which I thought it was a really cool effect with animation. Like you're trying to visually see through the sack. And as they're talking to each other, and their people are coming in, and like Vi saying, "Hey, stop! Get your hands off of me!" And Caitlyn's like, "Leave her alone." So it gives that intensity to it right off the hop. And then you see this character right here, looking down at Vi, and she's just kind of like trying to get a hold of her surroundings. She has no idea where she is. They took the sack off her face. She's like kind of blurry vision from the light, and then we get her just kind of looking up, and then he walks around, and then we get a character walking up with a mask, and then we get into the song here with this great imagine.
Wait, doesn't he face reveal before the intro? I thought he did.
No, he just walks up with the mask, I think. And
Are you sure?
she's I'm pretty sure.
Hit the play button, we can find out.
Nice call. I thought it was after the when they do the song, the great intro song that they have for this series.
This is where you should put the reveal, though, just to make sure that you have something for your audience to hang on to while they watch that fucking intro, or rather listen to it.
Yeah. Ugh.
I think it's probably got the only example of clunky sort of exposition, and it's comparatively, so like most of it compared to actual clunky exposition, compared to Madden Web, it's not clunky exposition, but the opening dialogue because they have to recap the essential events of the previous episode when they say, "What was the glowing stone? Your sister who's gone mad is now working for the bad guys." Like that, it doesn't quite gel, I think, by the high standards the show sets for itself. I think you probably do need to do like some sort of recap. It just doesn't feel quite as natural. But that might be a function of Caitlyn's voice actor, who really this episode for the first time, when I actually listened to her, I thought you're not actually on the same level as everybody else, which is unfortunate because she has more dialogue than anybody else in this episode.
Kind of got that feeling too watching this. Now that you mention it, but. I don't think she's bad. It's just comparing her to like Haley Steinfeld and I forget the gentleman's name that plays Silco. They're like S tier voice actors as far as I'm concerned. And she's like maybe a B plus kind of tier. She's not terrible. Like if she's in a video game, you would never notice.
It comes across as stiff. Like you can feel like she's like at times you feel like she's reading the lines.
Yeah.
There's not enough, I don't know, emotion in some of her lines, or if it's just the direction. I have no idea like what was happening at that moment, but I know what Tune's meaning. Like this episode, I was invested in a lot of the characters except her. She came across as kind of cold and stiff, like with the voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It sort of reminds me of watching Dune 1 in any scene with Rebecca Ferguson and Timothy Chalamet, how much better of an actor Rebecca Ferguson is. It's just become so obvious. It's like, oh shit.
Of course you're going to bring Dune into this, right?
I have to, man. It's been living in my brain rent free for like a week now.
So the actress who plays Caitlyn, or the voice actress anyways, who plays Caitlyn, she was on both The Wheel of Time and The Peripheral. So that's 2 strikes against her already.
Do you want a third strike against her? Because I just looked her up. She was Cho Chang in Harry Potter.
Oh,
The
that's her?
Scottish Chinese girl who can't deliver lines in that film either.
No wonder. That makes sense, because she was really stiff in that.
To be fair, though, the Goblet of Fire film isn't a film. It's a fucking piece of shit. It's so bad.
I've not seen it in such a long time. I can't remember what's bad about it.
I watched it recently because I have a friend who's like super into Harry Potter, and they were like talking about how bad it was, and I kind of forgot. And then I rewatched it. I'm like, this director didn't even read the book, did he? He just sort of like browsed it quickly and then wrote a script. It's so poorly done.
Quidditch, goblet, maze, someone dies. That's the essential
that's all you
stuff.
need to know.
Yes, Gemma, I'm with you. Shogun's owning my brain at the moment right now too.
I need to watch that. Is it
Damn
is
good.
it that okay? What's it on, by the way?
FX.
Fuck.
Which means Disney, actually, really.
Yeah.
Funnily enough. It's on Disney again.
Yeah. So now we get to Ekko, and we see him. I would say he's like probably 18 here.
Yeah,
maybe a little older, 18,
he's
19
supposed
years
to be
old.
around the same age.
I thought he was
Jinx.
younger than 18 in this.
Well, Vi, I think she's in her 20s. I think she's like probably, I think 20. I want to say 26, but I could be totally wrong. But I think she's
that old. But yeah,
well, Caitlyn's
definitely
pretty
more mature.
Yeah. And then Ekko was probably, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 years younger than Vi.
Mm-hmm. I kind of got the impression that Ekko and Jinx / Powder are the same age. Just when you look at them in childhood, they're around the same sort of like development age, and it's right before like girls sort of like take off and like growth. But
this is a good scene because he's like questioning Vi here, like, what were you doing with Jinx, and then he's just like, not sure where she's at, and then she just kind of like breaks through, and she's like uncuffs herself and just unhugs him, and he just releases a tear.
Sorry, we do get an F-bomb here, which is great.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
But, well, I like this too. You should have learned more. You still punch like a little boy.
Yeah, and you still block with your face.
Yeah. And then she just holds him, and he just releases a tear, and he realizes it's
I did notice this editing my video is this is an exact parallel, like frame for frame, identical to when they're in Benzo's basement in episode 3.
Really?
It's either episode 3 or episode 2. Sort of, they all blur together in my head now, but it's like I put them side by side in my video. It's the same shot exactly. He even drops the tear. They're on the same side. She holds his head the exact same way. It's identical.
Oh,
it's
that's
just kind
sick.
It's very intentional.
Oh wow!
It's not even reused animation because their frames are different sizes. It's they completely redid it intentionally.
That would have been episode 3 because episode 2 she was sitting there waiting, right?
Okay.
You were
it would have been like the beginning of episode 3.
Yeah, it would have been 3.
The one thing that if I remember correctly, that kind of had my head turned. I was like, as she said, I was gonna look for you, but I got arrested. And I was like, well, when would that moment have been? Because obviously a lot of time has passed, but if she was to get arrested, how, at what time frame was that moment? I was trying to figure out the timeline a little bit because
Well,
it's
she
still
was
up in the air.
arrested like right at the end of episode 3 when Marcus basically chloroforms her and drags her off into the alleyway.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we get to this scene with we see Singe with Viktor, and he's like, talking to him about the mutations, and he gives a line. We have the capacity to change, and meaning that humans have the ability to change with like the shimmer and the what do you call it? The hex, what's the little blue ball called again?
Hex gemstone.
The gemstone, yes. And Viktor is kind of like listening to onto every word he's saying while looking at the little mutated salamander here. And he actually gives Viktor some shimmer.
Mm-hmm.
And
A variant
it's
of shimmer.
a variant, yeah, right here, a variant. And Viktor is just kind of, curious, and like he's got a curious mind. He's like, thinking, do I take it? Do I trust him? Because he's seen him from a child to this point, and all his experiments, and how brutal they can be, and he's kind of just like, he takes it, and Singe is like, you aren't about the plants, are you? Meaning
Yeah,
that
he sees right through it. It's like, let's stop beating around the bush. You're
Right.
here to
It's-
rescue
it-
yourself. I recognize
well,
that
it's-
look in your eye. You got the
it's almost like a
1,000-mile
shot at the pharmaceutical company when you think about it. Like, you aren't all just about the plants.
It's a Pfizer.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. And yeah, here's the variant that he gives him, and Viktor takes it, he puts it in his cane. And then we get to Jayce, and he's working out nice and hard here, grunting. Mel walks up.
Don't lose your nuts.
Yeah. It's like pulling down so the fire can get stoked even higher.
No sexual innuendo whatsoever.
Yeah.
None to be found.
Mel walks in, and this is an interesting conversation with him too. Like, they start talking about what's happening with the city and everything, how everything's becoming chaotic. And she needs him to be a part of the council. The people notice you're not there. And then she also mentions something about like, he talks about like, outing out Heimerdinger, and he feels bad for, turning his back on him when he's given him all these opportunities. So it was a pretty good scene between him and Mel, but Mel tends to twist things on Jayce here, and he's kind of a naive, gullible guy here, because all he thinks about is the cake when he's with her. So I mean,
but is she
Yeah.
though? Is she really twisting it? Because it's it feels that he's convincing himself that Heimerdinger really was there for him. He wasn't. He even in the first time he stepped foot in front of the council, he didn't have his back. Like, so it's just weird. I think he just personally liked Heimerdinger, and he just kind of he longed for approval from him, but
Yeah,
he didn't get it.
Yeah, he idolized Heimerdinger, but I think at this point he's sort of over it. And it was interesting to watch that change in him. I think it was the last episode where he just sort of like, okay, I'm over this like childlike admiration of you. You're sort of like stopping me from advancing at this point. So now you're an obstacle.
but he still acts like a kid. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Does he though? Like, I feel like the only kid moment that he had is when he fucking went with Vi down to the Undercity.
That's where his character completely changes, when he stares that dead kid's face, or that dead kid in the face.
Yeah, like
his character does like a 180 at that point, and then like his preceding conversation with Silco, he's like a different character, which I appreciate, because like you would I'm not gonna say grow, but you would definitely change experiencing something like that. I'm sure.
See, he was not a beta male. He is a beefcake. Julio. Boosh is in the house. Thanks for joining us, Boosh. Corey's in the house. Thanks for joining us. We're getting a flood of people in now. We're at like 20 plus people. I appreciate all of you watching. Now we get to the point where point of the conversation where Mel's looking at this a little device that Powder or Jinx has created, and Jayce is talking about, you know, that this is what they're doing. They like this the potential of taking over Piltover, and he has that fear, and he's expressing it to Mel about like we got to be better at like protecting the city, and she's like taking his words and soaking it in, and later on she kind of throws it back at him, but
always struck me as the slightly strange thing is that they go for effectively that, yeah, let's build defensive weapons that we can use to defend the city when because we've been shown, certainly in the first 3 episodes, the extent to which they can send in forces down into the Undercity. And the impression I always got from those is that they have a huge amount of manpower and resource. And if you've lost something as important to you as this Hextech crystal, would you not just be storming that place before you go to try and say, well, let's just make nukes as well? But they decide to make nukes as well. I do like what they're doing with her character, though, which is effectively, because up until this point, you'd be forgiven for thinking that she is just this power-hungry, ambitious, probably amoral, quite evil person, and not particularly complicated in that regard. But what they're really doing is, of course, setting it up for the subsequent episode when you realize that she's trying kind of to outlive her mother's opinion of her, which is always quite a powerful thing to do with the character. Is that she has to be this strong, independent person because she has a tiger mother, and they're incredibly hard to please.
Yeah, I didn't really care for her character until we got a bit of her backstory and a little bit of interaction with the mother. Well, I don't know that I'm the biggest fan of her mother as a character, but the dynamic between them definitely made.
Well, speaking of
Mel a lot more interesting.
Speaking of,
and forgivable.
Andrew's here, so
muscle
the Dune
body.
agenda. He's here to spread Bene Gesserit lies.
Dommy mommy over here.
What's up, Andrew?
Nothing much. It's Arcane time.
It is.
Yes.
Hell yeah!
So
Thanks
yeah,
for coming, buddy.
Oh, of course I'm gonna come. 30 minutes late, but I'm here now.
So yeah, Mel's she's very sly, and she does like hang on every word that Jayce says to use it back on him later on when she needs to, and then she of course makes the comment, "Don't lose your nuts." And then we get to this piece right here where we get to Silco and Seva, and she's like talking to Silco about Silco wants to go out and find Jinx. He's worried about Jinx, and Seva is just saying like, I was a daughter too, and it's basically saying like, she'll come back. I had a father and I came back to my dad at one point, so just trust. You have to trust that she's going to come back. Your guys' thoughts on this scene with Silco and Seva?
It's kind of funny because Savika's like, let's just say I didn't see eye to eye with my old man, and then Silco's just like, yeah, and he just cannot be bothered.
You want a muffin?
But she went back to her father. She mentions like she kind of hints at that, saying that like Jinx will come back because like
it's
father figure.
Magnanimity for her character as well, because like she's finally starting to get a bit more complexity. Because you would think, given their past exchanges, she would absolutely hate Jinx in particular. And the fact that she still recognizes that she's effectively a young girl and sees something of herself in Jinx as well, which is the point of this scene, gives her a couple of extra dimensions that were previously lacking.
I think on top of that too, it's I think Seva has a lot of respect for Silco, obviously, and I think that she's noticed that Silco's not himself, and he's like distressed and shit's starting to fall apart. So she sort of has like on top of what you said, more of a vested interest in getting her back into the fold.
Well, I think it's because, and we mentioned this last night when we were talking about Shogun. Silco is always like 3 or 4 steps ahead of everyone, right?
Mhm.
Especially when it comes to the lanes in the underworld here, where Savika just relies on her gut instincts and her emotions, and so she recognizes someone that can, plan out a future and has an actual layout of how things are going to go, either good or bad. She respects that a lot.
And she probably feels a bit useless at this point too, because she kind of had to run away from who she was basically in charge with catching, and now her arm is like tied up and like immobile at this point, which I also appreciate the continuity on that. There's so many shows where like someone will take a gunshot in the next episode, it's like it never happened. But with here, it's like there's the hole. The arm's
It's in
clearly
a
not
sling.
functioning. It's in a sling. It's like it's tied with leather straps.
She is one rough butch. Holy jeez, it's like she's rough.
All
as
right,
hell.
let's calm down. Hey.
Yeah.
I would not mind a night with her, bro. Hands
Yeah, we got
down.
Zach
No,
Nurse in a semi over here.
And then we get
Go
to
brothels.
and then we get to this scene here with Jinx, and she's like literally losing her mind. She's walking up, she's got a gash on her leg, she's gimping up, she's having like multiple voices go at her, and you could see like the mirror is fractured, and so is her mind, which is crazy. I thought that was a real cool take. I'm glad it kind of stopped here, and she's just going through everything that she's just experienced. Am I echoing still? I can hear it. No?
Slightly.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It was worse before, but
Okay. And then she's kind of figuring out. I think she's trying to figure out Caitlyn's name here. She's like, and then she takes a staple gun and she starts stapling, and she's still trying to figure out Caitlyn's name. And as she's stapling, she endures the pain, and it reminds her of the name. She says Caitlyn, and she's happy.
Also, before you move to the next slide, also bunny theory. Now that
Bunny
she's,
theory.
now that she's not,
Yeah.
now that she's
bunny
not so
agenda.
certain about everyone's intentions, and whether like now that Vi isn't dead and she knows that she's real and all that, now the bunny's suddenly not being crucified anymore. It's sitting beside an image of herself.
True.
Get the fuck out of here, dude. I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice it until this
Yo.
moment.
Dude, she went to bed. She looked up at the bunny and she's like, "Well, that's a little bit crude," so she took it down.
Yeah, and also another setup here. You see the little firelight devices that she's been working on.
Yes.
So, and there's a lot of them.
I think like I sort of took from this episode, a lot of it was about the idea there's the next generation coming up ready to take the torch. And you kind of see, so Silco is kind of he must feel at this point he's going to be pushed out. And I thought I found a cool reference to that, which I've been searching for, and it turns out it's episode 9, where you can see what's hinted to be possibly Vander in Sinch's workshop. I thought it was 7, but it's actually in 9. So
Oh wow.
I'm ahead of myself on that one, but
Yeah.
a couple of frames there.
Also, I like this shot because you mentioned the cracked, fractured glass mirror represents her psyche, but also this hole is covering her eye, kind of showing that all of her problems stem from, in terms of all of her problems now, stem from Silco kind of pushing her to be this monster.
That's interesting. I didn't even think of that one. That's a good take.
And if we go full English teacher, we could.
What does it mean? The lines of dialogue.
And most of her problems come from her own perception. Oh, did he cut out?
Did I cut out? Who cut out?
Oh no, I just said and then stopped.
Oh,
okay. It's
so yeah. This is the I have this in the intro where she fires at the little firelight there.
Trailer footage. It's free real estate.
So it's
and then we get
foreshadowing
into-
because she puts her gun up against a firelight, aka Ekko.
and then we get to, exactly. Yes, thank you. Then we get into like Vi witnessing the tree, and she's amazed that a tree can, actually grow. And the one line I like from this too is like, Ekko says like, a single seed can make it down here, so can we. And meaning
They
like,
stole that from A Bug's Life, but anyway.
Oh, did they?
Whoa.
Wow.
Arcane is
Wow.
just oh my god.
I'll forgive it because A Bug's Life is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Screw that. Ants is better.
Oh,
Fuck!
Oh.
Ants is a piece of shit.
that's a hot take.
That's crazy.
Bugs
I'm
Life.
siding with
Yeah.
Ants
Bugs
is
Life.
like a parody of A Bug's Life. Come on.
nah.
Yeah.
Ants
Ants hands
prequel to
down.
Ant-Man.
Fucking Sylvester Stallone as an ant. I need 2
Oh, it's-
pickaxes.
Oh, it's so peak.
Look at me fucking dig, man.
Well, this part is like she's talking about how she can bring Jinx back, like, and she's like, "Give me a chance, like I can bring it back." And Ekko's like, "No, like she's choosing to be with Silco. She doesn't have to be with him." And she's kind of dumbfounded by this. She doesn't realize,
Well, she's in
like,
denial.
yeah,
right?
yeah, denial. Yeah, it's just everyone here was an addict or a victim. I should have been there for you, for everyone. I mean, you were thrown in prison, Vi. Like, there's no, like,
Man, I
Well,
gotta
that's
say
how-
though,
that is how
I know
she
it's a-
sees it.
I know it's a drawing, but for some reason, whoever animated Vi in this whole sequence was cooking, man.
Dude.
She looks so good in like every shot. It's insane.
It's the entire show. I was watching this. I was like, "This is real. This is a live action show."
Like there's just a few moments, and I clipped all of them out for my video because it's just like, damn, she looks so good in some of these shots. It's like, what the fuck, man? This is a drawing.
Yeah, I know.
Julio, I'm gonna say Julio or Julio. I hope I don't screw that
I
up.
think it's Julio. I think we can
Definitely
say-
Julio.
It's
Okay. In your guys' opinion, is Jinx one of the best psycho characters in media ever?
yeah, probably.
No, I'm going to say. I think she's really, really compellingly done. I think to be one of the best psycho characters in media ever, though, you'd probably be having to chart some new ground with it. And I think one of the things that makes her so compelling in the show is that they really effectively parlay a number of older versions of that character into her depiction. It's like there's nothing really about Jinx I don't think that we've never seen before from anyone. Like, we've just seen her effectively doing Gollum. And they do it really well. What makes her compelling isn't really the psycho break, it's the character stuff that they ladle her with. I'd say she's a really good, well-drawn character, and they are just putting tried and tested psycho tropes onto that character. It's really compelling, but I wouldn't say it's one of the best ever.
I would
go
always
with what he
hazard
said.
Yeah, I would always hazard to say like the best of anything because there's always something out there that you either haven't seen or don't remember. But I think if you put Jinx in a vacuum, she would be a lot weaker. But when you put her in the context of this story in particular, and like all of the relationships and some of the complexities that come with like the interactions between all the characters and the plot and whatnot, she becomes much bigger than, like, say. And I hate using Harley Quinn as an example because I don't know that much about the character, but I think it makes her stronger, at least from what I've seen, than a character like Harley Quinn. And it's not because the character's better, but because the character has a better story, I guess, or like there's more to relate to, or they like do a lot of psychology sort of to make you like either relate or like understand some of the shit she's going through.
Well, Dr. Harleen Quinn was who was Harley Quinn, was infatuated with the Joker, and she got to the point where she was so obsessed that she wanted to be Joker's sidekick. Like, that's how obsessed she was, and she was willing to do anything to be with him. As it went along, her character kind of changed, and now she's with Poison Ivy. She's a lesbian. She's all these other things, and she's not really as crazy as she was in the beginning. So like that eliminates Harley Quinn. I see early Harley Quinn for sure, but the thing about Jinx is there's so much trauma there that that's built in that you can relate to the character.
Yeah.
As for like this, like the psychotic characters that have been in media, I mean, the Joker's always like going to be a top, villain. Everyone's trying to build that Joker character in their book somehow. Like even the book I'm reading, Blood Meridian, you got the judge. Like he's just devastating. But there's, I don't know. Like there's a few I could think of, but I wouldn't say Jinx.
I'd say she's the best since Gollum, and I'm having a hard time thinking of something older that would be considered a better psychotic character.
Mallory Knox.
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, there's quite a few. Like you could put Vader in there.
Is Vader psychotic?
I wouldn't say Vader is, because Vader is a different character than like Anakin. I think Anakin's dead.
But Vader was just fueled by, hatred and anger. Like, it was all controlled and methodical. Like, so I don't think Vader would be categorized with her.
Anakin is just fall into Darth Vader and then the indulgence in evil and selfishness, rather than split personality.
Yeah.
Going wacko.
I'd say I would think quite comfortably say Jinx is a better character than Anakin.
Oh yeah, easily. I don't think that's much of a debate.
Yeah, like they
not
actually...
to shit on Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but
same. No, yeah, but the
Anakin.
way they handle that is not good. I do like the way that one of the things that does make Jinx's sort of psycho breaks quite compelling is the way they very clearly convey that they are traumatic breaks rather than purely like amoral psychopathic breaks, which makes her more endearing than the character like Hannibal. The fact that it's Milo talking to her, trying to convince her he's the evil voice on her shoulder, just like he always was when they were growing up together, and really fighting against the innocent side of her character who wants to read things optimistically and see the best in everyone. That's really clever and really well done. And yeah, so she's a really, really great character. I don't know that they're necessarily breaking too much new ground with her.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I meant when I said if you put her in a vacuum, she's not quite as compelling, because it's the way she's presented in the story that is what makes her such a good and memorable and compelling character.
This is an interesting question, because like you guys are not putting Vader or Anakin. Well, I guess you can either or, but like Harley Quinn, she was obsessed with the Joker. Jinx is kind of obsessed with well, she's completely fractured. Her mind's completely lost.
I don't think she's obsessed with anything. Really,
she's traumatized.
She's obsessed with being acquiring affirmation and acquiring acceptance. That's the whole thing she's fighting for.
So what's the difference with Vader when like Order 66, like Anakin kills a bunch of kids? Like I mean,
she has reasons.
Bad writing.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Okay.
Let's not compare the two.
I was gonna say,
get people triggered.
Arcane runs a train on any of the prequels. Like, the thing that separates like a Jinx, I think we've already said it, between like a Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, at least from the DCU perspective, is she just says things and does things because funny is random and random is funny. Yeah. Whereas Jinx, every joke and every quirk she has meaning to it, and you can call back, oh, this is why she's doing this. This is why there's this devil over her shoulder. Every single traumatic brain meltdown that she has is all conveyed through the story previously and is all connected through the story and the themes in it. Which is like, again, if you took her out of the story, she's just kind of she does become that random equals funny person, that sort of jester wild card that you see in the games. In here, she's very much a product of her environment, which makes her so compelling, because it makes her
way more interesting than. So it's often actually quite tricky to do compelling psychopathic characters, and Hannibal Lecter is one of the only examples that really comes to mind for a straight psychopath. Who is not, of course, if you go and you watch the bad, more recent thing when it turns out he's the product of having to eat his sister because the Nazis kidnapped them, like that shit, and we ignore that. But if you go to the good depiction of him, that he is a straight psychopathic character, and he's one of the only examples where that is actually quite endearingly done, because he is also incredibly refined and intelligent, and he's based on fairly real life archetypes. Otherwise, it's hard to do, precisely because there's not a huge amount by way of emotional reason for them doing what they're doing. That's sort of the key to being a psychopath, is that you're not empathetic in the way that most characters are, whereas Jinx, if anything, is overly empathetic. For another bad psychopathic character, you could, Fade Routher from the villainy of Dune. Not a very complicated or compelling character, in the way that Jinx absolutely is. He's just evil for the sake of being evil. And that's not as compelling. Whereas, evil because you have legitimate tragic reason to be who you are is always going to score more highly.
She kind of reminds me of a character in Apex Legends, Octane, but where Octane is absolutely completely unpredictable because he is he's an adrenaline junkie. He likes to do, he's the type of character that, he blew his own 2 legs off to win a race.
Yeah.
Like, he threw a couple grenades and just, put just for the grenades to push him forward to win the race. He sacrificed his own legs to win. He loves that like fame and that admiration from like the fans and whatnot, because he has a lack of a father in his life. The guy who is his quote unquote father, actually killed his actual biological dad, and made him think after all these years, until he revealed to him that he's like, yeah, I'm not your dad. Like, I'm just running this company, and whatnot. And, Octane's mind is just completely, shattered from that. So what one character in the Apex Legends video game is Lifeline, who's this, I think she's like Jamaican type of Haitian chick, and she's best friends with Octane. So she always has to keep him in check.
Mm-hmm.
Well, going back to like psychopaths, and speaking of ones that like have to eat loved ones, Abijah Fowler from he's a pretty good psychopathic character. Although he's not really a psychopath, is he? He's more of a sociopath, because he doesn't he controls his rage pretty well.
But if you go into I can't remember which of I think it might even be Silence of the Lambs when they call Hannibal Lecter a sociopath, and it might be Hannibal, or it's one of the people around him explains that actually the term sociopath hasn't been in serious use in psychological circles since the 60s, because it's not the accurate descriptor. Sociopath is just what you call people that you don't have any other name for, as opposed to an actual strict diagnosis.
Okay.
I think that's in one of the books. So he would be a psychopath more but then again, they're both quite inadequate labels, but it's colloquially acceptable.
Oh, you're crazy.
Like everything in psychology, which is why it's not a STEM field.
It's a politer way of saying you are fucked in the head and we don't quite know how.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
putting you in a rubber room.
They used to drill a hole in your head and let the evil out.
The lobotomies, gotta love those.
So nobody else here remembers Natural Born Killers at all from the 90s?
Oh yeah,
Mickey and Mallory Knox.
That's a good
Come
one.
on, people.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. was in that, I believe.
He was, and she was good in it as a psychopath. I think one thing that Jinx is set apart from these other couples is it's almost always a couple if it's a female. There's Joker and Harley, there's Mickey and Mallory, Bonnie and Clyde. This is just Jinx and her imaginary friends, mostly. It's like Silco to an extent, but it's mostly her that is the focus. She's not a passenger at all.
Silco's more of an enabler than a father figure.
Yeah, I wouldn't even pair them up together because they don't have, like, the only scenes they have together are the baptism scenes, and any time that he needs her to do the pricky eye thing. And that's really where they have their conversations, and then he just kind of lets her go off and cause havoc.
I mean, the origin of Jinx's psychopathy is the fact that connection has actually been broken. There is supposed to be a twosome involved. It's supposed to be her and Vi. And she's mad because that's been taken from her.
Yeah. And getting back to this, that was a great question, by the way. Thank you for asking that. We get back to the protesters here on the bridge as they're closing off the bridge to the lanes and to pit what the pit what Pilfender or whatever it was called. I knew I was going to screw that name up. And then we see Viktor here sitting on the bridge, and this is just kind of coincidental as Jayce is kind of out there. He's working out, and next thing you know, he's on the bridge, and he sees Viktor on the bridge. So
Well,
I thought he called him.
Viktor. Yeah, Viktor was coming across the bridge. Marcus saw him, was like, "Hey, what are you doing? The border is closed." And then Marcus notified Jayce, and then Jayce came here.
Oh, okay. I didn't even catch that part.
So
I
they
was just like,
didn't
well, this
discuss
is coincidental.
They didn't discuss this prior. Like, hey, dude, so I'm doing this very controversial thing where I'm like closing the border.
Yeah.
Like that, they didn't have that conversation before. Like they definitely had time, did they not?
They had well, Viktor didn't bring it up because Viktor told him, "What's the problem? I told you I was going to see a friend," and then Jayce says, "Well, you didn't tell me they were from the Undercity."
Yes. And he's just like, do I need to tell you that? And you know I'm from there.
Yeah, it's the distance that's arisen between them anyway, so it's sort of driving home the point that these two who were pretty much close as anything are now not telling each other this vitally important information because Jayce has gone off to this new exciting life and he no longer has the time to focus on the thing that's supposed to be their driving ambition.
And I do appreciate the fact that instead of like just leaning fully into what can be kind of cliche, is Jayce is actively trying to fix that. Like every time he notices, and then we are shown as an audience, we also see Jayce sort of like actively try to repair that bridge that's slowly being like slowly separating them further and further. I think we see it again as well, even in this episode, where he's just trying his best not to let that wedge drive them apart, which like the whole world is trying to do.
Then we see Silco with Seva in the elevator here. They're rising up. He kind of looks nervous in the elevator. I'm not going to lie.
He's kind of locking it.
And we get Finn, who's having a meeting with the Council of Capos here from the underworld, talking about Piltover closing the bridge. They're losing money because of the shimmer and all the other resources that they're selling from the Undercity. And then this is a beautiful shot right here. This is the colors. It's just amazing here.
I love the character design of Finn too. I think it's great.
Finn is pissed.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
It's like if you told like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, I don't know which one. I guess it's Midjourney that everyone uses. But if you just told it, show me the most gangster looking Yakuza ever, and then you just keep saying more, and I think on step 20 you'd get this guy.
Well, some of the characters here are kind of funny. Like this guy right here looks like the sappiest scarecrow from Wizard of Oz, and then you got like
Harlequin beside him.
Yeah, and then you got a Siamese cat over here with a leprechaun outfit on, and then you got this character right here. Oh, okay, that was
Flash players being mean.
Yes. And then, you got this character that looks like a giant bird. It's kind of or this lady is kind of looking like a giant bird. So it's kind of funny. So no, I don't want to watch a free movie. Thank you.
What are you using? That's like spamming you.
What is this?
Yeah.
I've never seen this before. Netflix is crazy.
Are there girls in your area that want to meet you?
I knew they were thinking of introducing like an ad tier on Netflix, but I didn't think it was going to be quite this bad.
I know, dude.
Hey, an extra $5 to get rid of the weird women trying to have sex with you in your local area.
Oh, I invite them on. So now we get Silco coming in. And he interrupts the meeting. Finn's trying to, he's trying to swing a big stick. Silco kind of just saying, "Oh, really?" And then he has the box. The box is full of masks. You see the fan kind of stop, and then he kind of releases a gas into the room, and everyone starts to choke.
I love that. Like he understands in this moment that he needs to like reiterate why he is the crime boss, right? And the fact that he can go around and like handle this gas because he like grew up in it, and everyone's just sort of like the next generation of peons. It like really reminds me a lot of Top Gun, where like you get Maverick coming in here and everyone's just like, "Who's this fucking old guy? We should replace him with something new and better." And he's just like, no. Listen, punk. And the fact that like he can breathe, no one else can. He's giving them the mask. It's a total power move. And then even at the end, when he's got Buddy like begging for the mask, he doesn't give it to him until he takes a breath first out of the mask, which is just so like fuck you. This is my hand-me-down.
Yeah.
It's such a power move. It's so good. And he's manipulating the entire room.
Vex is in the house. Thanks for joining us. And Eraserhead's here too. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, this is like a great scene. Wait.
I don't know. What do you guys think of this scene? Is it cheesy or is it actually like?
No, it's fucking.
I like
good.
it.
It's really
Okay.
good.
It's baller.
It's what you would see with like a bunch of gangsters, all aligning up. It's kind of like a scene you see out of Batman with all the rogue gallery. They're getting together and they're kind of talking about how do we get Batman? How do we get how do we get Gotham back? And like Silco's kind of the Joker, or he's kind of the the lead of the.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no.
What it reminds me of the most is if you're familiar with Game of Thrones, at least like the first few seasons when it was actually good. When Tywin comes back after like the Battle of Blackwater, or is it Blackwater? Whatever, freaking the battle with Tyrion in control, and when he first comes back to the small council and puts everyone in their place, it reminds me a lot of that.
Oh yeah, I was trying to think actually because I was watching it again and thinking like this looks like, I'm sure there are so many examples of this equivalent scene that I have seen before and I couldn't think of one specific one, but it's so familiar and I think that might be one of the things that was coming half to mind. But it's another good example of how you don't have to do anything particularly groundbreaking and absolutely brand new. None of this is brand new. This is fairly well established kind of storytelling, to the extent that this similar scene has been used in a number of different contexts before. But as long as you can tie it really effectively into your world, and that's the whole point of this scene, is that he's still of this old world, as has been mentioned, and these are all this newer, younger, more comfortable generation who don't really know what leadership entails and what you have to do and sacrifice. As long as you can do the basic things right, it's great. It's good enough. You don't have to be exceptional. It's just very, very solidly done.
Yeah, and on top of that, you get that subtle bit of world building too, where it's like you see this generational divide, where it's like there was this older world that Silco's a part of that none of these other characters are, and it just makes the world feel so much bigger and established.
And you can draw the parallel as well, or it's not really a parallel, it's more of a contrast between the way he handles a council which is rebelling against him and the way that Heimerdinger did not handle a council that was rebelling against him in the previous episode, and that one of these characters is still very firmly in touch with everything that got them there. And they understand sort of the cold mechanics of power and psychology. And then you've got Heimerdinger, who is just so far removed from what this new council has become that he has no means to resist what happens to him. And it portrays Silco as being absolutely the guy who is still in control of everything around him. Even though he seems to be losing touch of Jinx, for example, he's still very much a force to be reckoned with in a way that Heimerdinger just wasn't.
Yeah,
this
and that elevates. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say this reminds me a lot of one of my favorite all-time shows growing up was Spartacus. Because Spartacus with Andy Whitfield. Before he passed, there was that uprising of the gladiators trying to overtake the House of Batiatus. And
growing up, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good show. I mean, it is really good show. But that scene where he's overtaking power just reminds me of the the moments where Spartacus was just getting checked by his owner. When he had to keep getting punished for trying to overstep his boundaries and stuff. So yeah, like what you were saying for just recently with Platoon, it happens as long as it's done right. You see it often, but yeah, like as long as it's done right, you can pull it off.
I'm just curious, like growing up, like what else did you watch?
Yeah,
Xena, Princess Warrior,
hell yeah.
Spartacus, Magic City, Sopranos,
Magic City. Oh, that's good.
You grew
so
up
this shot right
Sopranos.
here.
Jeez.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This shot right here is like visually stunning. I'm
this is
just
the third
amazed.
repeat of this same shot, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, this is the third time we've seen this exact shot with Mel.
Oh, It's beautifully done. Well, this is where Laura comes in and starts talking about how the people from overseas there's a lot of attention towards the threat from the Undercity, and they're saying Piltover looks vulnerable, and Mel is just kind of like saying like, well, Jayce isn't ready to deal with this. She doesn't want to rush it, and then she gives her a letter.
Well, you
said, "This
better
came in
rush
for you."
it.
Your
Yes.
mama's coming.
Yeah,
Mama's
calling.
coming home.
The Queen of Wakanda.
Pretty much.
Well, Bush says like Spartacus with the big oiled up half naked men. Is that like
Oh,
Hey,
dude,
yo.
yeah, hell yeah, that show is wicked good. A lot of violence, great storytelling.
I never watched that one.
Oh, it's so
I don't
good.
think I was
Huge
allowed
recommend.
to.
Yeah, huge recommend.
And then we go back to, I think, Caitlyn, Ekko, and Vi here. Caitlyn's like this little kid brings a bowl of water for her, and she
Yeah.
just slaps it out of his hand.
And she
And then
even
she
like
right away, yeah,
sorry, but like she even makes the decision to smack it away like consciously. Like she realizes it's a kid, she hesitates for a second, and she's like, "Nah, fuck it," and then commits and smacks it.
I think
It's just like, "Goddamn, woman! Like, what's wrong?"
Seems like
with you?
she's like, what should I do in this captive situation?
Stop acting like Madam Web.
Reject the food.
yeah,
No.
slap the hand that feeds you, literally.
I really like this moment because she's from the top side, and she could have easily tried to barter with them, like, let me go, I'm from up top, like, whatever. But
Do you have
she
any
didn't even-
idea what my mom does?
Yeah, could have done any of that, but she didn't care. She was more concerned about Violet and what they quote unquote did to her. And I appreciated that, from this character, because I could not stand her throughout the show. And I was like, okay, maybe I can start to like her a little bit.
So what I got out of that, Zach, is that you're saying Caitlyn does not want to be a bottom, and she wants to be a top.
Caitlyn tries to be a top, but
Yeah,
she
with
ain't gonna
Vi,
ever succeed in
she-
that.
she's a
is
bottom.
only a bottom.
yeah. So she's kind of shocked. This scene right here, she's shocked. She's shocked because like Vi's like making fun of her and saying, "Oh, my hero," and
They have their first
she's
fight.
like, "Oh, yeah," and it's so cute. And Caitlyn's like, "How dare you?" So this is one of my favorite scenes. This is where Jinx comes back, and Silco is getting ready to do a little dab on his eye.
There's only one thing that bugs me about this scene. Like,
okay,
this thing that he's probably done it's very minor. This is a total nitpick. But like, he's done this shit to his eye like how many times now? Thousands, tens of thousands? And for some reason he's struggling, some doddering old man trying to put it in before Jinx grabs it out of his hand. And is this like an editing thing? Like, what's going on?
I think the emphasis is that he hasn't done it by himself in a while. The shot before this, I believe, when the opening shot of the scene is him alone in the room, and the emptiness of the right side of the frame emphasizes the fact that Jinx still isn't here, and he acknowledges that. And then, of course, he's finicking with the.
I thought it was just because he was getting pissed because of all the shit that's going down. He's just,
that too.
He's like,
well, the stress.
Yeah,
He's been
the
going
stress.
through it.
Well, it's like we mentioned this earlier, and I think it was like episode 1 or 2, like the Tony Soprano. Like the stress gets to you when you're in that kind of position, and I'm sure it's really getting to him because there's so much happening that's out of his control. He's so used to being in control of everything, and there's things that are happening that he has no control over.
Yeah, like
and
ducks flying away.
Yeah, and the line here is like Jinx saying like, "Oh, I was out chasing dead ends, and then guess what? There was not. They're not all dead." And I'm just like, brilliant.
Yeah, that line. I wish she just left it at that because
yes,
subtlety and like what's like the double entendre in there. It's just like, oh my god,
The
what
joke
a
is
line! That's
also-
cryptic as shit, dude. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's the thing with her humor. Her humor all points back to the tragedy through her life.
yeah,
Mhm.
So
And
yeah,
then
this scene's
she's
great. She's just stabbing him
she's-
in the face.
Yeah, stabbing him with the eye dabber. Like she's like getting all the numbers to bingo. She's just dabbing the numbers here, and then she just goes to the eye, and she's torn here, and then we see her come back to reality a little bit, and she sees the father figure that she wants, and because he's saying a lot of things of let me actually pull it up here. So I'm your family, everyone else has betrayed us, which hits Jinx really hard, and then she just dabs it, and oh man, that's gotta be so freaking painful.
Like as mentally unstable as she is, I think she's very intelligent, and I think in that moment she sort of like realizes that she has to choose between them now, and like there's no real way around it. So it's like, okay, if I want things to stay the same and be with Silco, then Vi has to actually die, or I have to kill Silco.
Silco is saying everything that she wants to hear.
Yeah.
Or everything. Silco's saying everything to her that he wants her to hear.
Yeah. Okay.
He's very careful about his dialogue that he chooses.
Yeah, he's very good at manipulating her. He's good at manipulating everyone, but Jinx in particular, he pulls all the stops. He knows her really well.
And then we go back to Caitlyn, Ekko, and Vi, and Caitlyn's learning that not everything is what was told to her. That there was people actually down there that were suffering and getting, like there's like Ekko saying here, you people hunt us like animals, and Silco pays them to do it, and she's kind of realizing that there was a lot of good people down there, and Vi's trying to take a side. She's trying to play both sides here, it seems like. Well, A, because she's probably in love with Caitlyn, and B, there's so much happening right now. She's just was with Jinx. She's trying to get her sister back. She's trying to figure out what's happening with everything that's surrounding her. Like,
well, she's the
Ekko
only one that
and all the
knows
people
at this point, right? Because she understands both factions now. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys think it was the Firelights doing all this shit? No. It's Silco. Oh, you think the Enforcers are doing this because they hate you? No, they're doing it because they've been told that it is you. So
Yeah.
she's like, wait, stop. It's more complicated than this. Someone's fucking with us. Like,
Yeah, and it's Silco, and so Caitlyn's like, we need to go back. She sees the gemstone. She says we got to take it back. It's like it's something not to be played with. Like, it's something extremely powerful. If it gets in the wrong hands, it can be like it could be the ultimate weapon. It could destroy everything. And so we kind of get through this, and Ekko agrees.
Caitlyn kind of finally understands the gap between the Topsiders and the Zonites.
Yeah.
Because she says, like, you can keep it and you would be well within your right to do that. But if you want, but to stop this cycle of violence, then we need to take it to the council and tell them everything that's going on. And even Vi acknowledges this too, as she's looking at Caitlyn and is almost inspired by the words that she's saying.
yeah, you almost see some of Vi's preconceptions sort of melt away in that moment. I know exactly what frame you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When she sort of like tilts her head a bit, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how you remember all that. Jesus.
Because the amount of editing I've done to this footage, it's my dude. I forget a lot, to be fair, but
and then we get back to Viktor, Mel, and Jayce here, and Victor's playing with the little device that Jinx has come up with.
This is one of my
Jayce
nitpicks, by the way. Why the fuck are you just casually disassembling an explosive, like with no shield? You don't even have a trench to throw it in. You're just there with like two of like the most powerful people in the
I think
entire
Victor's
fucking city.
I think Victor's confident enough to do these things. Like he's done it his whole life, and
Sure,
he's marveled
sure.
by.
I think the idea
by-
is that they're underplaying the actual engineering that has gone into this, and of course the conversation that's going on behind them about
But he does say explicitly that the engineering is inspired, so they can't be
Mhm.
underplaying it.
well, yeah, right when they open it, and then the conversation quickly goes to, "Hey, let's build weapons," and then that's something that Victor is very much not for. And then that's
that's
the
Mel.
conversation
That's
that
Mel.
Mel and Jayce kind of go on with, while
Yeah,
It
Victor
was
is
also
still
sheer like let's
Victor's
not
also
forget though.
still-
It was also through sheer luck that he didn't blow up all three of them, because he just randomly selected the correct wire right before the thing freaking explodes.
but
I don't know, I
yeah,
just thought it was a
like,
bit silly.
yeah, but I mean, we forgive that because it's animation and it's
Yeah, that's
but
why I
I
call
mean-
it a nitpick.
I wouldn't say
yeah.
I would forgive it because it's animation. I would forgive it just because Victor is very intrigued with this weaponry, because he
Well,
says
that
like
too,
it's crude
yeah.
but inspired, and also because the conversation behind that is more. Victor is much more flustered with the conversation that's going on with the Hextech being used to destroy lives rather than save them, which was their original goal.
And there's also the subtext of him defusing a bomb, which I think you could apply a light metaphor to.
Well, in the heat of the moment, we see, like, as soon as the times the ticking starts with the bomb, Jayce freezes and Victor now like calls to action, and he actually does something about it, while Jayce kind of stands in the background, frozen.
True. I think the only thing that would fix this scene, like, it's not a bad scene at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the nitpick that I have with it, they could have solved it just by having somewhere to throw the damn thing if he screwed it up. Like, I don't know.
But again, I think it's the confidence Victor has in himself when it comes to these kind of things. Just because it's shown throughout every episode, like pretty much with Victor as a kid, creating things, taking things apart, learning from Singe. Like I think,
like, I appreciate the fact he doesn't really regard his own safety, which has been established.
Well, he's dying
least a
already
bunch of times. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
you don't
that, but
care.
like,
you
got
don't
the two.
care.
You got the two most like powerful people in Piltover. They have the most say of the council. You know, they call the shots, and you're gonna maybe inadvertently take them both out.
Let's be realistic. Victor's sitting there. He's playing with toys or with bombs, and Jayce is getting laid and listening to these two bicker back and forth, and he's probably getting pissed off because they're talking about going to war with the underworld. So I mean, he's probably just like, screw it. If it goes off, who cares? I'm dying anyway, and like they're talking about creating
that's
weapons.
necessarily what he's thinking.
Come
That's
on,
what
just
Gooch
roll
would
with
think.
it.
That would be character assassination, I think. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm gonna kill both of these people in this room.
Well,
Y'all coming with me.
yeah. I was waiting for someone to say something. You guys let me cook. What the hell? No, this is where Mel kind of throws Jayce's words right back at him, and this frustrates Victor. Hearing that this has actually been said from his lips, and Victor's like, "We're scientists, we're not soldiers." Nicely timed out. And Jayce is just like, "I'm trying to save what we built," and Victor's not having it. And this is where he cuts the wire, and he's acts all calm and cool and doesn't go off. And then we get to
Victor.
This is my other nitpick, although it's more applies to the next episode. Heimerdinger just goes straight to where the plot needs him to be.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay. Would it go directly to Ekko? I know where he is and when he'll be there. Like, fuck's sakes. Okay.
Well, I think there's a song being played here, right? Is it another rap song played here?
No,
Or
not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
It's just it's the orchestral like score, but it's not a like There's no Imagine Dragons.
That's during
on yet.
no, that's during the fight on the bridge. There's like a R&B kind of song.
Besties and dystopias.
And then they're on the bridge, and they're asking, and Caitlyn's asking what these are, and she says they're firelights. That's what we called them as kids. And they're going to return the gemstone to the Piltover, and we see Viktor taking the shimmer, the variant shimmer, and he's going to inject in his, like, look at the carvings in his legs, eh?
And I want to say too, just I know I gush over the sound design of this show because I think it's one of the best pieces of sound design ever done, without actually being hyperbolic. I'm like trying to find examples that are better, but when he's carving into that brass, at least I think it's brass, with the with like the Inconel stylus, it sounds exactly like it would in real life. That's like they actually did it, because I've done that. I do it all the time, and it's like, oh my god, they got that sound perfect. Like, what the hell?
Thank you, Boosh. I do need a lot of support. I need a lot of support, like these braces that Viktor wears. So yeah, this is a cool scene. We see Jayce. He's back at home. He hugs his mother.
Aww.
Yeah. Like,
I'm gonna do something I might regret. Aww.
Yeah.
Pussy.
I gotta live up to my childhood drawing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, the hammer. Oh no,
my
it's
dream
coming.
to be a paladin from Warcraft
Platoon,
3.
the hammer's coming.
It's hammer time.
Jayce cuts his hand, reaches into the hex. What is this? Is the hex
core.
Hex core.
The thing that I liked about him cutting his hand is more normally in shows, like they become like
He had to psych himself up.
Yeah.
Because you can't actually cut yourself unless you're like actually there's something wrong with you. Because
Unless
your
you do it
defense mechanism
quick
won't let you.
Wait,
Yeah, it's like
really?
a-
There's something like in your brain or something that just refuses to let you do some shit like that?
Yeah, it's the same one that doesn't let you jump off a high place into water, let's say, or to go skydiving.
Well, it's just like
the
a survival instinct. It's like your brain saying, "No, don't do this."
Yep.
Wow, okay.
You really like to. How do I?
That's why the first time you go skydiving, you don't get to pick when you jump. You're strapped to a 350.
I don't have that trigger.
Fucking Navy SEAL that just, that's it. We're going, bud. You have no say in the matter, and you're screaming halfway down. It's fun though. You should definitely do it if you haven't.
Oh, absolutely not.
I'm never skydiving.
Yep. Yeah, you
If I'm going up, I'm going to space.
You take your skydiving shit and you go on that side of the room.
If I want to go up, I'm just gonna go to the moon. Or
listen,
Mars.
I'm 6'2", 250 pounds. I'm gonna drop like a freaking rock, but I would still do it. So
You see, I would blow away. I'm only like 130 pounds.
holy shit.
At like 6 foot.
Oh, wow.
Would you even need a
Pathetic.
parachute, or would like a strong wind just keep you up?
Yeah, I would just that's how I would get around. I just go up and the wind takes me wherever I need to go.
You'd be like Aang from Avatar.
I would be. I'm an airbender.
Airbender, yeah. This is where it starts to get a little intense here. Vi says goodbye.
When Vi stops, the look she has, she's like, I can't go.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know why though. Like, you can't just go to the council and like escort them to make sure that it works and then come back. Like, how long is it gonna take?
Well, she doesn't. Like her main goal here is Jinx.
I get that.
So
my nitpick was a related one, which is we know that Ekko has a flying surfboard. And we also know that there are multiple bridges and they apparently have only blockaded one. And yet they walk across the one bridge because they need to do that. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. That's my only problem. Otherwise, it's a great episode.
How many people can you fit on that board? Like one or two? Like, I mean anything.
Well, like you hold it. Nah, like instead of riding it, you just hold on to it. And then you like go. It's like a, what would it be? I feel like there's like a stupid piece of like spoof.
There's got to be like a
board,
weight
like
limit or some shit.
from Back in Time.
No,
Back in Time.
Like,
no, Back to the Future.
Or Back to the Future. Yes, I couldn't remember them.
If I remember, I feel like there's like this stupid piece of. It's like you just hold it and it brings you somewhere. I don't remember. Never mind. The joke is
Sounds
gone.
like some Doctor Who shit.
Yeah, it's probably some Doctor Who.
I didn't even consider the board though, but my other nitpick was Ekko's like a faction leader. How was he not aware of the blockade?
No.
When
I feel
was
like
the
that's
blockade?
information that would be.
Blockade was created.
It's been there all
yesterday.
day.
But
Well-
I mean, that must have been the point where he, because when he knocked out Vi and Caitlyn, wasn't that the night before?
Yeah, and they showed the blockade starting the at the night of the last episode. I'm assuming this was one whole day, so it's been
Maybe
there for an
he was
entire
probably.
day.
Maybe
I
he
guess-
was preoccupied.
The entire episode he was the entire episode last time he was
He was following
specifically
Vi.
watching Vi. Yeah, I don't think it. I think one of his henchmen would have told him, unless all of the henchmen are just at home base, which I think is true because there's a lot of them there. Like the main like purple cool ears guy is there.
Did you say at home base?
Home base, the tree.
Oh, because in this country, that's a department store that sells tools.
Yeah, they were at Home Depot, guys. They were
Or as we call it up here, Dapits.
oh my god. But yeah, I don't know. It is. I think it's a bit. They don't explain it, so I'm not going to try to explain it.
Apparently, at night, shift work is done. Everyone can go home. Apparently, too. So I don't get that.
It's done because, to be fair, shows like this can earn a lot of charity, and I think the bridge scene that they're setting up with all of this does earn pretty much all of the charity because it's a very, very strong scene. It's unfortunate they have to sort of. There's a few things they bend. So in the first place, yeah, he has the surfboard that can fly. They're not being particularly subtle. They are just walking straight across, which does require that they've not found out across the entire day that there is a blockade, as has already been mentioned. But it also requires that the people doing the blockading have set a trap for people they don't know are coming because they're not being a present blockade. They have all the lights turned off and they're waiting.
Right.
As opposed to actually keeping a manned checkpoint, which you would expect them to do given the border is closed. So it's a lot of artistic licenses being taken to justify a very, very good scene. The scene is good enough that I don't mind it, but I think you probably could have avoided some of these problems somehow.
Yeah, I don't mind any of them. Like, I accept the creative license that they've taken to like almost all of these, like outside of the Heimerdinger just conveniently being where it needs to be, which didn't really occur to me until like I just rewatched it recently. But all of the nitpicks that I have, like they're always just delivering something fantastic, so it's fine.
And then we have Jinx watching up from the top, and she's
Braids blowing in the
having a
wind.
conversation. Oh, I hear she's having a conversation with her multiple personalities.
It's just a
And,
goodbye hug.
Yeah.
I was a little, I don't know, confused because Ekko's outfit is just airborne. Anything airborne. I thought he would have had some technological device on him since he's that kind of kid where he can overhear somebody from a certain distance, like a bird, since that's what the suit's designs are. Or like maybe,
Because that's what he was good at when he was a kid. He had that little periscope thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, maybe he would have caught her, like, just from the distance, like freaking out a second, or I don't know. It was like, how did you not notice her? Because you've been following these people from the beginning, and then all of a sudden you get caught off guard.
Interesting.
And I must say,
I think he's taken more off guard by the fact that there's blinding lights now. I think his attention is towards the enforcers that are in front of him and Marcus. God, I hate him. I'm so glad he dies.
And I don't think it can be understated how well the lighting is for animation. Having this super hard fucking light.
You took the words out of my mouth. It's
like,
insane.
Go back a frame. A couple. Or
like the one where they're
this one.
Yeah.
Like the silhouette.
Back again. This one.
Like a lot of that focus stuff is done like after the fact, probably in something like Nuke. But man, like where they put the highlights, it looks like if you just squint your eyes a little bit, it's photoreal. It's like they put every highlight exactly where it needs to be.
It's Marcus in live aaction. He's about to get brutally murdered. Love to see it.
But like they desaturate the colors perfectly. Yeah. There's basically no midtones. Like they even
Brilliant.
make their virtual camera do exactly what a camera would do if you were filming this. Like the depth of field drops right off because you know you're super high ISO. There's a bit of like fisheye blur going on, but again, that's probably done after the fact. It's just really good.
And then Jinx loses it.
Snickers. What?
Wait, go back.
Screams and
Snickers.
You aren't you when you're
Screams
hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jinx, try drinking. Yeah, why should have just gave her a Snickers bar?
That's
This
what
would
you
all be
needed the whole
over.
time. Was a Snickers. Yeah,
Oh my
she would
god.
have been fine.
Dude, get Hish on it. Alternate ending. How it should have ended. Arcane edition.
Here,
Dude, if I
you're
get
just
good enough
hungry,
at
have a
animating, I'm
Snickers.
gonna make that.
Vi just breaks out of the ropes and just, hey, here, have a Snickers. And then she's like, oh, happy family. Oh, look, Vander's back. We're all happy now.
Yeah, like the lighting and the rendering for all this is just amazing. It blows me away that they well, how long did it take? It's 4 years, you guys? Like it was 4 years because the COVID.
Hard to say because they took
4
a
years
break.
on and off to
Yeah.
develop the animation style.
I'd have to look it up. What year did they do the Get Jinxed video? Because that's when Fortiche got the green light.
That was? I thought it was the Imagine Dragons what's that song?
No, that was just a demo. So 2015 is when Fortiche got the green light
Okay.
to do Arcane, and the enemy video was basically like
Oh no, not
what
the
would you
enemy
call
video,
it?
the
It's
one
like
before
a
that.
proof of concept.
Yeah,
Get Jinxed.
Warriors? No, Warriors. Wasn't Warriors like a test of that? Because that had
That must
like
just
very
be another test.
yeah, because
it's-
that had a more similar of an animation style than this one.
Because
Then
I literally
Jinxed.
have it in my video where Christian, I might have cut that part out, but
This is
when
where the
Christian basically
firelights.
said it's where they tested and got their confidence from Fortiche to move forward. It was like, okay, these are the guys,
This is
and
where
it
the
looks
firelights.
nothing like Arcane.
Yeah.
No.
It looks so shit in comparison. It's fine, but like, yeah, I'm glad they cooked a little harder.
Of course they're gonna cook.
This is where all the firelights landed. They landed on
Mhm.
the
Started blowing up.
Marcus's
And then-
gun, and
I love how
Yeah.
it shows the monkey face for the
Jinx.
last.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus shoots. He did shoot Ekko here, but Ekko has his chest plate on. And
Plate
then
carrier.
we see,
Adam.
That didn't happen.
And then we
that
go
shot of
to-
her like, God,
It's very
so
good.
sinister, the way it's shot. Like in the intro of episode 1, like Powder is like the Zonites are shown to be powerless, and then here it's flipped and she's singing the same song, except the song now means nothing because that's
Yeah.
just not what happens.
And she's just
Ugh.
dispatching them like they're nothing.
I want to do, if I ever do a breakdown for this or like a quality assurance type video for season 2, I want to do like specific scenes, and this would probably be one of them. Like this entire sequence of this and the fight scene.
Mhm.
And Marcus, this is the most generic line possible.
Oh
Yeah.
my daughter, I
Oh, my daughter couldn't even finish it.
guys like
Imagine
an
being a
NPC.
loser.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
It's like someone in
say,
Skyrim that's talking halfway through
Yeah.
their death animation.
a lot of people say like he's one of the most he's one of the characters with the most depth, and I'm like, what? He feels so much. He's just like generic bad guy cop
My girlfriend said
that like
"Fuck,"
regrets
she
his
goes-
decision.
My girlfriend was like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself, Marcus." Like on the couch as you.
I was
watching.
more disappointed because I wanted more of him to like make. Me
I wanted
like
a
him.
fucking. I wanted a redemption arc because I started to feel bad for him because it's
Yeah.
like, fuck, you were literally in an impossible situation. You either kill this girl or like your daughter is gonna get fucking whatever by Silco's goons.
This
It's a
is
shit position.
Ah man, the way the
Yeah, I
bullet
know.
moves, the
Slow-mo,
Everything.
flash.
guys. A good use of slow mo. Oh my god.
Take
Yeah.
notes, Zack Snyder.
Yeah, Zack Snyder, take notes.
No, Jay. When you go ahead and you move forward, go super slow.
What do you think this is?
It's
Go
already
slow,
slow
Gooch.
Go
mo.
slower than slow. Like
True.
This is a
That's
hot
actually
keys
true.
for it.
Hell
I take
yeah,
back everything I
Echo.
said about VLC Media Player. I was thinking of a completely different other one.
Dude, if you have the latest update, it actually fixes the audio when you speed it up or slow it down, and it's better than DaVinci. It's like, wait, what the fuck?
What?
Why is this so good?
Using VLC as editing now. I'm editing in VLC only.
I don't think you
Well,
can
this
edit
is,
in it, but
Well, I
This
will
is the
find a way.
This is the standoff we see between Ekko and Jinx now, and then we get the flashback right here. This is kind of this part right here kind of reminds me of Spider-Verse. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah, but this is so much better.
it is.
I
It's way better.
listen, I'm a part of the Spider-Verse agenda. This is so much better than Are you kidding me?
I like Spider-Verse, but I don't think I would compare. Yo, Copa's here.
What's up?
It's
Cooper?
What's going on?
it's
Look, dog.
comparable in the sense that it becomes a very stylized showdown. There's only one line of dialogue, and it's this one. Oh, look, it's the boy savior, and then
Mhm.
Ekko kind of shrugs that off in frustration, but then he proposes another way of doing this with the stopwatch, and that is the proposal of fighting like they used to that when they were children.
Mhm. Which were never shown, but it's implied and set up so well
And,
that everyone
dude.
gets that.
Growths. So it's actually one of the only scenes in Rebels that is good. Even then, it still has stupid logic that precedes it in Clone Wars, where Obi-Wan and Maul are fighting, and Maul doesn't change his stance throughout the entire fight or the stare down, but Obi-Wan does, and it's kind of showing their growth as character, as Maul has stayed in this self-destructive obsession of killing him, while Obi-Wan has grown past that. And the only reason Obi-Wan is fighting him is because Maul suggests that someone is here that Obi-Wan is protecting.
Mhm.
And then in this scene, in terms of the comparison, Jinx does the same moves that she did.
He also has the same
Whoa,
same power as Paul Atreides.
Time out. Okay, so you're saying going back to Blue Eye Samurai.
Oh my god, do not pull the Blue Eye Samurai.
Not the bullet. Oh my
Yes.
god.
The bullet
Stop
thing is
saying
stupid,
that.
man. It's stupid. She dodges a bullet that she's never seen. She's never seen this weapon, and she has she sees it
The
once.
second time
Oh,
she
the
does.
second time, guys, she's able to do.
You're saying
dodge a bullet
Ekko
the
could
second
dodge.
time.
You're saying Ekko could dodge bullets.
Bro,
Yeah,
I've
because
watched that
they
show
played
3
this game as
times all the way
children.
through, and I don't even know what scene you're talking about.
They played this game as children.
It wasn't a bullet, really.
It's a paintball gun, but then also you add on top of that Ekko has been shown to be incredibly acrobatic, and also
Yeah,
the
but
fact
he's got the same power as Paul Atreides. He can see slightly into the future, so he knows what all the
Yeah.
moves are. Gonna
I
be.
wouldn't. Does he? I don't think he does.
Yeah, because he gets shot and he knows how it's going to end, and he clicks his little stopwatch. Well, here's the thing: in the game, that's exactly what he does, and it's the most fucking bullshit. Because it's like,
Oh, no, he doesn't-
you're
he
actually
you'll
stating
beat him,
facts?
and then he'll go back in time, and then fucking has all of his shit back, and you're like, well, that's broken, and then he kills you, and it's like, well, okay. So
Also,
he just basically has that power here.
You know, this is a perfect moment since we're on Echo. I actually just finished up
Yes,
the
Boosh.
piece. If you
Nice.
guys want to see,
Oh, you
Like-
did Echo this time. Cool.
yep, I did Echo just for this. So
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
hell yeah.
God, that mask is
Holy
so
shit,
cool.
dude.
Oh, dude, that's the best one you've made so far.
Yeah,
I
that's
the
think
best
hands
one.
down. That's very,
That's-
very good.
That's sweet there, Zach.
I love
Thank
how you
you.
put him in foliage too. That's so like on character.
yeah, like I didn't know what to do, and I was like, "Fuck it, let's put a lot of blacks in that."
Tree.
On
That's great talent.
the gunplay thing, I think it is forgivable because, again, we're being shown that it was a childhood game. It's reasonable to infer that he is familiar with her habits in terms of, like, when you immediately draw your gun, people will drag to one side or another, or they'll overcorrect. As has been mentioned, it's supposed to convey how close they were as kids. It also goes back to the point I think has been made in a previous episode, which is, Jinx treats almost everything as a game. And when everything is a game to her, she's incredibly competent. It's when things get
Yeah.
serious that she breaks down, even when she's a young kid. And this
Exactly.
just really goes, even as he's pummeling her in the face, she's still smiling. This is all a game to her.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
um,
And she thinks she
like-
knows how to win too, so she does exactly what Ekko is expecting. Because he knows that she knows that if she does this exact thing they've done 1,000 times before, that she's going to nail him right in the chest.
Yeah,
But
and also
he knows that going into it.
Speaking of the game thing, she knows it's a game, but Ekko kind of of course in this he freezes up because he realizes it isn't. Like no longer are they playing with, these
Kill from the grave.
And Ekko
Sorry.
just like he freezes because he realizes that this is a friend, and he kind of indulges in the thing that he said he wasn't going to. Like early in the episode, he's talking about like forgetting the past and accepting the now, not even looking at the future, just accepting that the now, that Jinx is gone. And he kind of he betrays his own belief in this scene. Kind of he just kind of stops and hesitates.
But it's one of those things that you can believe if you're not in contact with the person. So, he's had sort of second or third hand accounts of what she's been doing for Silco for this entire time, but they very rarely will have come face to face. There's only the one scene toward, I can't remember, is it episode 4 when they're busting the drug shipment on the ship?
Yeah, that's 4.
That's as close as they seem to have come to a direct face-to-face encounter. So it's easy when you're distant from someone to say, oh no, that person's completely dead. But now they're actually face-to-face with no masks on or anything, and it's playing a childhood game, and then it's the realization, hang on, that it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to actually believe it. And so he hesitates, as you say, and
true abilities that he has in the game that he will acquire in assuming at season 2.
And there is also a little bit of fan service from the game because
of
Ekko is a hard counter for Jinx in the game. Just saying, if you're 1v1 and you're playing Jinx against Ekko, good luck to you. It's not going to work. For the 5 people that might play the game.
A question from the T Pro 83. I wanted to follow up on something that was mentioned last week. So if Heimer is 300 years old, it is believed Poppy is 1,000 years old. So Yordles live a long time, or some other magic is at play.
I don't think they age.
Heimer is 900? Or is he 300? Oh, he's 300? Yeah,
He's
300.
He's 300.
Wait, who's Poppy?
It would be, I don't know who
Poppy is. Another Yordle from the game.
Oh.
Who wields a very big
it's
hammer.
probably
I don't know what the game
thing.
lore is. I think it would be an interesting thing not knowing what the game is if it was revealed that they live for such a long time because they've exploited the same magic that they're denying to other people. I think that would be a fairly interesting twist you could do with those characters. And it would explain like his knowledge of the thing. It's you're allowed to experiment and benefit from this incredible power. You've seen its destructive capability, but you're not denying your own benefit from that. I don't know what the games are like though, so I imagine that's not what they do.
Well, apparently they've abandoned their old lore and they're like starting over or like reestablishing it, something like that. Because like Arcane, like since Arcane came out, they're just sort of
Arcane
like, okay,
was
we're
so
changing
good
our
that
canon.
they made them collapse all of their lore.
Yeah. Their lore was a bit sort of, I don't know that much about it, but like from what I looked up though, it looked very disjointed. Like a bunch of different creative people with different creative visions just sort of smashing it together.
I know early League lore was really chaotic, and then they reset it like way before Arcane. I'd be surprised if they were resetting it again. That'd be funny.
Yeah, because apparently the show is
so much that stories in Piltover had them racist towards Yordles. Yordle racism.
I can get behind that. I get it.
The rat
Yordlephobic.
Imagine Rings of Power retconning Lord of the Rings lore.
Oh, it already
You don't
has.
have to
You don't have
imagine.
to imagine
They just
that.
did it.
It's already done it.
Yeah.
Does a rock float? Only if it's very small.
That's a good question.
Ducks float.
I almost said he's Samoan. He
Only
must
if it's
know how to
looking-
swim.
It's looking down. That's why they sink, because they look
True.
down the rocks.
I'm gonna try that trick next time I go
And
swimming.
dogs can't look up.
Oh shit! I just realized that there's that bit in is it Monty Python and the Holy Grail when they're trying to figure out whether or not, like, if they put the woman in the water and she's a witch,
Yes,
how do they
Someone
tell?
finally got my
the
reference.
chicken. They put the chicken.
I didn't put
What
that in my
floats?
video.
Wood,
Oh shit!
Ducks and very small rocks.
Yeah.
Oh, you can
ducks,
put that
yeah.
in your other
in
your
part
final.
3, yeah. When I
Yeah.
finally finish it, I'll put it in there.
When is
Oh,
season
that's great.
2?
Apparently this year, yeah. Is it
November.
November?
Better.
Is it confirmed November?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
confirmed
that's-
November.
Oh
Oh,
They
my
haven't,
god! Wait,
they haven't said
wait,
anything
wait,
else.
wait!
So.
No! We're getting Arcane and Rings of Power, both season 2s in the same month. Oh my
Fuck
god!
Rings of Power. I'm not even gonna watch
I'm
it, dude.
really hesitant with season 2 for Arcane. I don't know. Like, I just feel like too many hands are going to be getting in there, and just I don't know.
I mean, if it's just
kinda leery.
Christian and the boys, then we're fine. And that one chick that worked on Lost.
I hope so.
I
hope
had
so.
I had a conniption when I saw who they portrayed Celebrimbor as, who's like a very fucking cool character in the lore. And I'm like, yeah, I'm done. You've already swam across the Sundering Sea, apparently. Fucking
Celebrimbor?
Sauron is like 3 gay wizards at the same time.
Wait,
I'm
who's,
just-
wait,
I'm-
who's Celebrimbor again? Who's that guy?
He's the elven
the Ringmaker, man.
Ringmaker,
Oh yes.
yeah.
Oh yes.
Sorry, Kilted.
If
I'm
He-
just
he's
stating
he's the
facts.
oldest one of the ageless elves.
And like,
What?
I just
Wait,
came
wait,
off
wait.
of playing.
B. Arthur. He looks like B. Arthur. from
Okay.
Golden
If you
Girls.
want to know like the real Celebrimbor, or at least a more accurate, lore accurate one, go play Shadow of Mordor. Fucking amazing game. The story's sort of like meh, kind of cliche, but like it gives you some really cool insights into the lore, and it's a really good hack and slash game. Very fun to play. But yeah, Rings of Power, no thanks.
Oh God, no. So getting back to your guys' thoughts on this episode, if you want to rank it, you can rank it. Just give me your general thoughts, what you guys thought. Start off with amateur.
Yeah, really like this episode. Disregard what I said at the end of last episode, where I very mistakenly thought this was, I guess, episode 8, whichever one Jayce is wielding the hammers. The one I
That is 8.
originally-
That is 8.
That's 8.
That is
That's
8.
8.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I said it was this episode, and rewatching, I was just in the back of my head like, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
But
dude, I did
no,
that
I
in-
really.
While watching it, I like looked through the thumbnails of I scrolled through it. I was like, does he have the hammer this episode? No, he doesn't.
No, he
Dude,
doesn't.
I
He has
couldn't
a
even-
hammer, but not the hammer.
I can't remember the simplest things in this damn show, so you're not an idiot. Like I'm the Geico caveman here, so don't worry
No,
about
we're all stupid. Don't worry.
Memory and stupidity are two very different things. But but yeah, like the scene on the bridge is like, as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the coolest animated scenes. It's one of the best scenes I've seen
It's
in a
one of the
long
most
time.
powerful.
There's a lot going on. Especially when that like watch is swinging in front of Jinx and it goes back to the childhood version of her, and it's just like my heart sank in that moment. I was just like, oh my god, this is so like, I don't even know how to put it into words properly. It made me feel the feels, right? It was great. What was I gonna say? Lots of like political intrigue. It's setting up a bunch of stuff like, what's the mysterious letter that Mel got? You know, like what's gonna happen between Jayce and Viktor? They seem to be driving apart, and now he's got like new powers that we haven't really explored yet. Like it's setting up a lot, but it's also giving us a lot. And I have to say, none of it feels rushed, and yet none of it feels slow. It's a very like captivating episode. Like you're basically hooked to it the whole time you're watching it, which is pretty good praise.
Well, that's why I liked the previous episode. And I know, Platoon, you had your take on it, but I liked it because it was a rapid pace of many side stories.
Yeah.
To allow this episode to define it more, and you get a lot of catch up and a lot of realization, especially with Silco, because you feel that like he feels like he's losing control. He's lost Jinx. We see Jinx; she's like completely off the deep end, especially with knowing that Vi's alive, and Vi and Caitlyn coming to a realization that Ekko's alive. There's a community in the underworld that's thriving. There's just a lot playing out there, and then you have Viktor and Mel and the politics and everything.
And I think this is the first time in the entire story, maybe other than like Act 1, where there is sort of an end goal, like a bit of hope that the characters are striving for, which needs to be said because it's like, it doesn't really happen anywhere else. Everyone's just sort of like struggling to adapt to the new shit situation, more or less. But yeah, we get that nice sort of connection between Piltover and the Undercity with Kate and Ekko meeting and Vibe in the Meteorary. I sort of love all that. And then there's the wall, that like memorial of all the characters that they've sort of lost, which is like a very earned moment, I think, because there's like a lot of groundwork and character work done to sell that moment, which, you know, in anything else would have felt cheesy, you know. And they pull that old Abraham Lincoln line, this is the cost of freedom. Yeah, there's a lot to like about this episode. I got to give it like, I would normally give it an 8 out of 10, but my new thing is I give everything one more point than I normally would, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Really like it. Solid episode.
Zax?
Yeah, I would give it probably an 8.5. I think they're all good episodes. There's no really bad episode of this show. I would say the soundtrack that has brought it down, and if they had one Vanilla Ice song in this episode, I think it would have brought it up to a 9 for sure. Because if you're gonna have a rapper, I want to have it be Vanilla Ice.
Okay.
I feel you, but sure.
Zach, what are your thoughts?
I give it a 10. I'm sorry. This was my favorite episode of the show. This is the one where I wanted, you know, like who were the flyers. Like I wanted to know who they were underneath. In fact, I called it, you know, right when I saw them. And I remember I'm like, dude, you know, I haven't seen Ekko yet. I'm like, you know what? That's got to be fucking him. He's got to be the bird people. And when I saw him take off the mask, I was like, yeah, let's go. And, you know, just the way this whole episode just went down, the bridge fight was my favorite. Seeing Ekko, I wanted to see the fight last longer, honestly. But I'm not complaining I give it a 10. I was just, I was amazed. I was amazed by it.
Nice. Andrew, your
drawing's a
general
10,
thoughts.
dude. Your drawing is a 10.
Yeah,
Thank
drawing
you.
is a 10.
Yeah.
What character you guys want me to do next? Because I already got, right now I have...
Well, we haven't got Silco yet.
I want you to do a
No,
high
save
quality...
Silco for the last episode.
I want you to do a high quality scan of that Ekko and then send it to me.
Can you do... Now, this might be a little daring, but can you do Viktor and Jayce together?
Viktor and Jay. I can do that. I'm gonna have to pre-pencil that up before the show starts. So it's up to you. So if you guys want me to do Viktor or Chase together next week, or you can do have me do somebody else, it's your guys' call. Just let me know who
Should
you
save
want me to do.
Silco for dead last,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
You could just do Jayce with his amazing hammer. Which
No.
everybody loves so much.
No.
his flower
Listen,
hammer that
we need the science bros together. All right.
I'm sensing something from Platoon. I don't know what it is, but I'm sensing something.
He likes
So-
rusted hammers. He
so
really
that,
likes rusted hammers.
Is that what you guys want me to do? You want me to do Chase and what's his face together?
Sure.
All right, let me write that.
Andrew, your general thoughts there, bro?
Good episode. This it has the most powerful ending, or one of the most. I think the ending of the finale is more powerful for obvious reasons, but I think this is out of all of the episodes between 1 and, well, I guess 3 exists too. Okay, so the third most powerful ending in terms of the character works that's going on with both Jinx and Ekko, because they are pretty much they are the opposites in terms of how they reacted to episode 3. Ekko was not at the warehouse. Ekko had his father figure torn from him earlier, and then he was left to fend for himself because there was no Vander and there was no Vi. So he kind of came together with all the other scavengers that weren't okay with Silco, and kind of banded together to fight against that. So in relation to, and he grew from that experience, acknowledging like Jinx isn't the same. And then with Jinx, she became self-indulgent in the things that made her the monster who she is, and the machines all of being indulged in gaining affirmation from Silco through the show. She hasn't changed. She's just stayed the monster that she is, that was created in episode 3. And then of course we have these two ideologies that meet back together at the end of the episode, and it's incredibly powerful for both, because Ekko finally is kind of faced head on with his own philosophy in terms of she's not the same person. You got to let go of the past. But then when he is shown the past and what he did have, he freezes and he indulges in the thought of having that again. And that's why he loses that battle and doesn't kill Jinx. And then you have Jinx, who reacts to this, where she's playing a game, and then once she's shown and realizes that it's not a game, she becomes self-destructive with the bomb. And then on top of that, just the style choice of how they show this conversation between them, only having one line of dialogue in that entire altercation at the beginning. It's just a masterclass in Pixar's rule of don't show them 4, show them 2 + 2. And because of that, it becomes a very powerful scene. And then on top of that, we're shown a lot of character development with Viktor in this scene, with him going to the Undercity, talking to the guy, love and relationships are the things that we sacrifice for progress. Driving that theme of progress, what Piltover was built on, and him being told, the top side will reject you, and all he says is Jayce will understand, showing that the only opinion that he cares about really is Jayce's, because that's been his science partner. So yeah, good scene. Good episode. A lot of problems with it, but for narrative reasons and narrative substance that is reaped from this episode, it's willing to be forgiven. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Hell yeah.
And finally, the man from across the pond, Mr. Little, Little. Sorry.
I am gonna say, I'm trying to remember what my previous ratings were. I am gonna say 7.5. But that's only because I'm a harsh marker. I think I agree with everything that's already been said. I think I would have to objectively mark it down slightly for the conveniences it deploys to get to its best scenes, which are never ideal, but that doesn't detract at all from the enjoyment of the best scenes, which are incredibly good. And given that I give most shows these days about a 3, I'd say that's a high bar of praise.
Damn.
So yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Damn.
I'd probably get it about an 8 out of 10 for me. And you guys pretty much touched on everything. And like I said, I liked how it, it kind of piggybacked off the last episode and kind of slowed everything down and talked more detail about what was happening at that moment, giving it more depth. I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight. Does anyone want to quickly mention what they got planned coming up? I believe Platoon, you have a video coming out.
Well, yeah, but also, I mean, it's Dune, and I find Dune really interesting, and so my review begins in the 18th century. So it could be a while actually before.
What? Hold on.
You're not talking about farming, are you?
No,
Oh, no.
I was really resisting the urge to actually begin in the year 95 AD. But no, it begins with Edward Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. So 1800s, 1700s, and charts the Whig interpretation of history via Isaac Asimov, in order to set up what Frank Herbert is trying to subvert, in order then to get onto what the villainy film doesn't quite convey, though I did admire it. The long story short is it could end up being ridiculously long, so I don't know if it's really fair to say it's coming up, but it will be out at some point.
Are we talking like
Nice.
a record premiere?
No, I'm
this
really
point?
trying to keep it under that. I want to keep it as short as possible. And to be fair, because the plot's relatively solid, and that's normally the longest bit of the breakdown, I should be able to save time. It's more about what's not in it than what is in it. So in theory, I can condense a lot. We'll see. I'm actually resisting the urge to put a Putin interview joke in, just because It's
Good.
it might be a bit too. I don't know how many people are really familiar with that, but it did
Do
come
it.
to mind. Yeah.
I like to think that you going back to the 18th century is like other like reviewers that think they're smart saying, this reminds me of Karl Marx. This is your version of that. We're going back to the 18th century to talk
Pretty
about
much, yeah. I'm
this
going
specific thing.
18th century Whigs and like the difference between Whiggism and liberalism and how this is all subverted.
Oh
And
my
then
God, this
there's
is just
fucking
like me
Joseph
farming.
Campbell's hero's journey. That's all going to be in there. It's gonna be. Given how much fun I had with Madam Web, I'm going to now subject people to academic stuff.
Dude, I thought I was tripping
Um,
for a second, but then I was like, no, your character like is actually moving its mouth. It's like shifting a little bit. I was like, what the what?
just now noticed
I just noticed that today. Like,
That's really
Although he
jarring for
never
me.
finishes his wine, which is annoying.
I do have a question. Are you going to reference the 80s Dune at all?
Oh God.
The sleeper
Maybe.
has
I
awakened.
haven't
Sorry.
decided on that one. I think I do need to actually watch that one again, just because. Like the problem with that one, from what I vaguely remember of it, is that it tries to condense everything into the single film, and the
Yes.
Villainy film has the opposite problem in that it tries to cut way too much out of two films. So some way in between those two positions is probably a really tight conveyance of the most essential parts of Frank Herbert's story. I'm just resisting it though because I just remember it being a weird trip.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
A
It is.
rushed
It's like.
a
It's like
rushed
watching-
adaptation is the least of its problems. Let's be
It's
real.
like it's like watching a Michael Bay movie. It's so
It's
interesting.
like watching
for the
a
wrong
film where the
reasons.
director quit halfway through filming. That's what it
Oh, yeah.
feels like.
That is definitely what Lynch did. He did not care. He already was like, this
Like,
is my worst project I've ever
I
worked on.
remember
it's
watching it
Lynch.
as a kid and being absolutely blown away by it. Just the idea of the worms and Arrakis, it was just so compelling to me.
Mhm.
But like
The,
rewatching it
the
as an
space
adult,
navigator
fresh-
puking light.
yeah, I know, with the vagina mouth.
Oh,
Yo,
Like, as an adult
pussy.
coming fresh off of Dune 2 and rewatching that, I'm just like, what the fuck, David Lynch? Like, you're a
that's
way
where
better
Zack Snyder
director than
got
this.
it. That's where
Yeah.
Zack Snyder got his pussy.
Yes.
Toto
Uh,
did the soundtrack. Toto, like, okay, good
Hey,
band.
Hey,
but like,
hey!
what?
Don't.
No.
Toto
The
was
the
legendary.
soundtrack.
No.
slaps.
I'm a Toto fan, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about, is it appropriate? Like,
Yeah, I
Rush is
really
my
love-
favorite band, but I wouldn't commission them to do Lord of the Rings.
No,
Like, that'd be
Arrakis by
brutal.
Toto is a really good song though, so there is that.
Mhm.
Also,
Also, what they do is amazing.
Zax, what do you got coming up there, bro?
Well, after that from Platoon, I got to compete with that. So what I'm going to do is I want to look at Dune as well, but I'm going to look at it from I'm going way back to Oliver Cromwell, the old Lord Protector of England and world famous parliamentarian, and his decision to have King Charles I executed. Like, you cannot talk about Dune without talking about that. So I'm going to go way back to there, and we're going to build it up from there. That's my plan. Get ready for 2027 release. It's coming out.
Andrew, what do you got
15
coming
hour
up there,
video.
brother?
well, I feel like I should get in on this. Well, I already edited my Dune Part 2 review, but I guess I'll go back. I'll go back further. I'll go back to the fall of the Tower of Babel. That's where I'm going, baby.
Nice.
But yeah, that's probably gonna be out tomorrow. Maybe I got to do some editing work on it just to some tidy up on it. So probably tomorrow is gonna be when it comes out. It's a new editing style too, which took me a while, but I think it will end up being pretty good.
Zach, what do you got going on, bro?
Well, I have. I'm still running my campaign on Kickstarter. I got about 6 days left. You know, I thought maybe the campaign would end on the next time we stream on Thursday, but it's going to end the day before that. But yeah, Voyage is the sci-fi Kickstarter comic book that I'm currently in the middle of funding at the moment. The book is pretty much like done. Anybody who will pledge it will be able to get their books within a couple months. And 40-page book, and it focuses on a main alien character, Sondaram, who goes on this hero's journey that's forced upon him to go after this artifact that's broken and spread out throughout the galaxies. And he's got to find these pieces and unite it into this weapon once more. And yeah, like, this book is a lot of fun. I'm a huge fan of sci-fi. And this is a lot. This book gives me a lot of the enjoyment from the things that I appreciated in the comic books that I grew up with for sci-fi, and I feel like there's some notes that are being missed that I'm going to try and hit working on this book.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I just encourage everyone watching this now or watching it later, please check this book out. I know I've talked to Zach. This has been almost a year now. You've
Yeah.
been, trying to get this book out there, and you've been working really hard, and it's not easy. And he's got a great story. He's got an unbelievable artwork here.
Yeah, that hallway, that spaceship hallway looks dope.
Thank
Yeah.
you. You should see
Yeah.
what the rest
Is
of
that
the book
all
looks
you?
like. This is
The
all
coloring.
him, except the
That's all
coloring.
him. Yeah.
That's all you, even
Um,
the coloring.
Not the coloring. I don't.
Okay.
I just don't have time for coloring.
Yeah, I was about
Yeah,
to say that
honestly.
hallway is like a fucking month's worth of work if you did both.
Yeah, if you did all of that,
He-
that'd be crazy.
He's got awesome stuff. It's a great story, and I just encourage people to go out there and check this out. It'll be in the description below. Help a brother out. He works really hard at this.
I mean, you guys got 6 days left, so don't miss your chance, man, because it's going to be a small print run.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, thanks, Zach. Zach. And again, I'll have that in the link description below. Amateur, what do you got going on there, bro?
Right now, not a heck of a lot coming up in the short term, but I'm going to be doing something with the Gourd King. I believe that will be in 2 weeks. I don't know. I'd have to look up the exact date, but I guess you could also follow that up looking at his channel. But I'm going to be on the panel when we talk about The Incredibles and Tarzan, because those are, in my
Wait, what?
opinion, very, very darn good Disney movies, especially The Incredibles.
Wait, when is that? Wait, is that on MMM? Or is that...
No, it's something that I think he's trying to start something. No, The King's Court, which is at
yes,
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can't remember which day it is, but it's going to be... Oh, no, sorry, this isn't until May. Okay. So way off in the future, but anyway, look forward to that.
I will be
He's
there.
also doing a bunch of stuff in April, but I'm going to be out of country for that entire month, so it would be very
Incredibles
difficult.
is incredible.
It truly is. Brad Bird, hell of a screenplay writer.
Well, and also
And
the
then-
animation that like pushed everything, because
Oh
that,
yeah, for sure.
that
Which
movie
he has a
broke
huge
all
hand
of the
in.
rules.
But
Yeah.
you also have to, every time Brad Bird gets credit for writing, you also have to give credit to oh my god, Tim McCanley's. I was going to say McLean's again, because he's sort of the guy in the background that has some really phenomenal ideas. He's the guy that did the script for Iron Giant, which is probably my favorite
Oh.
kids movie ever.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
Love that movie. It's why my internet character persona is Dean,
Yeah.
which is from the movie. But other than that, I don't have anything stream-wise, but I'm still plugging away at my Disney animation sort of like documentary. I don't have a working title for it yet, but it's going pretty well. Kind of excited about it. I was going to do a Dune review, but I've suddenly decided I don't like doing those kind of videos, and they never perform well on my channel. So I'm just going to focus on the evergreen, like long form content. So yeah.
I want to quickly
you
say
could make it long form content. You could just go back several centuries and start the
We're
review
going
there.
back to the Tower of Babel. We're going back to the fall of the
Yeah.
Garden of Eden.
If only I had Echo's watch. I'd go back and fix some things.
Adam and Eve
Apparently I
realized
can't
they were
spell
naked.
competence.
I just want to quickly
reminds me
say
of Karl
thank you
Marx.
to Julio Rangel. Gooch, this has been a wonderful series of video reviews. I hope you keep this panel together. I will try. I plan on doing Cyberpunk Edge Runners next. But I know these guys are really busy. They have a lot of, they have their own streams and they have a lot of work to do. But we'll talk. I know I'm going to be doing Scavenger's Reign on Tuesday night with Vex. Zax is going to hop on. Cannoli. Nadia is going to hop on. So we're going to be doing that Tuesday nights, talking about Scavenger's Reign at 10 o'clock Eastern. So come check that out as well. that'll be a lot of fun. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be my animation nights. So YouTube likes me doing the animation, so I'm going to stay with it. So thank you so much for the super chat, by the way, $5. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. As for me going forward, like I mentioned, Scavenger's Reign, and I'll be bouncing around, doing some streams, and I'll be here next Wednesday. I'll be doing an interview with who do I have next Wednesday? Quickly, can't remember. Next Wednesday I'll have Billy Tucci. I believe I'll be here next Wednesday.
Go.
Yeah. So the man who did She. He'll be here next Wednesday. That'll be a great episode. And then, of course, we'll all be here next Thursday talking episode 8. I look forward to that. And then, you can catch me on Saturday Night Hypnosis on Saturday nights on Hypnotics channel, and I'll be, floating around on other streams. I want to say huge thanks to these guys for coming on. It's always great that you guys take the time to come on my wee little channel here and talk about the stuff that we love. And everyone in the chat, I appreciate every one of you guys for spending the time with us and listening to us talk about this stuff. It's greatly appreciated. And so with that being said, I want to say everyone have a great week, have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Adios, everyone. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Peace out.